Yeah, Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Let's get it. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam. Sean on the mic, very flat too. Keep you updated, that's what we do. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam.
We got a lot to discuss today, so we're going to dive right in. We're going to go into the NBA, where we got some things going on. The other day, Joel Embiid, he suffered a deep bone bruise against the Wizard, and he'll miss about 2 to 3 weeks. But up to this point, Joel Embiid has been, one of the MVP candidates for this season in the NBA, and right now he is the front runner for the NBA MVP, which this situation right here is definitely going to put a hindrance to that, so you'll probably see some other guys rise to the forefront, or maybe actually might help him out if his team kind of like goes in a tank, right? Then you'll definitely see how important he is to the team. But what you guys been thinking so far about, the season he's been having so far, and what do you think that injury is going to do to it?
Yeah, it sucks because, for a long time I always hated on Joel Embiid. I thought he was not working hard. He had, all the qualifications, the height, the power, the skills, but I just thought he never actually dedicated his game to playing well. And also he had a lot of injury histories that was preventing him from being available to be great. So I'm sure that Doc Rivers being with the Philadelphia Sixers has something to do with it, just putting him in spot to shine. But also, he's playing 33 minutes a game this year, which is the highest he's played all his career. So that definitely has a lot to do with him just performing at the height that he's performing. But I've been really happy for him that he finds some kind of groove this season. So I'm pretty sad when I heard about this injury. I was pretty sad for him. I was actually rooting for him to win the MVP this year. And I think he still might be able to do that depending on how, because he's out 2 or 3 weeks, but in 2 or 3 weeks, they're going to reevaluate the injury and see if he can come back. So if he misses a month, it's tough to miss a month at the back.
He's a big guy,
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
It's usually miss a month, 2 months, or a month and a half at the back end of the season, because that's when the important games are coming. So we'll see. I think, but like I said, I think he's been having a phenomenal season. I think he's been scoring double digits every single game, and not just double digits, but like 40s, 30s. Just being a machine out there and
draining threes on people. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I hope he does come back pretty soon. I think if he comes back and be who he is, I think he can win the MVP. But I think this injury is definitely gonna put a dent on that. You know what I mean?
For sure. Barry, what were your thoughts on it? Because I did post it on the Instagram.
Right, and I did see the post and the video of him being injured. That's definitely unfortunate. For him and for the Philadelphia 76ers that this happened at this point in time, particularly when the team was playing really well. But Embiid is playing the best basketball of his career to this point that we've seen from him. And right, you said he was an MVP, caliber player, and, probably the guy that's in the driver's seat for, the MVP race as of right now, prior to the injury. So it's definitely, bad timing that, this injury, happened right out of, the All-Star break and to begin the second half of the season. I think, myself, I wasn't really, the biggest Joel Embiid fan, or really found of him, just because I didn't really like, his personality. I thought this guy was, too cocky and too arrogant for someone that hasn't really played that well and done that much in the league to this point. Like, yeah, he's, you can tell the guy has talent and he can, play, and certainly has unique skill set for a big man, and and has a good opportunity to be the most dominating player on the floor on any given night. But he hadn't really shown that he can do that consistently night in and night out. And, that's something that, I really didn't like, to see, and didn't really, that kind of turned me off about him. So, yeah, the thing, certainly now I've, at least respected his game, a lot more with what we've seen, particularly this year. With him, playing in the post more, taking, less jump shots, and actually being that dominant force in the paint that, he's, more than capable of being, on every game against anybody. So, and his shot making has improved. I've been seeing he's been making, tougher shots. His mid-range game has improved. He's been, hitting those shots more consistently, and that's also translated to him, hitting the three ball well as well. But he's taking less threes, which is what I wanted to see, and I think that's something Doc Rivers has emphasized on him, to do, is to, do what you do best. You're a good little post scorer, like, get in the post, play, from the post, and and take less jump shots. So I think this definitely could affect his chances as far as winning, an MVP. He could still win it, particularly if the team just flat out sucks and is trash and doesn't play well, during the time that he's not there. But it's definitely going to be tough for him to, do that, because 2 to 3 weeks is a good amount of time to miss and, and lose out on the MVP. So hopefully he comes back, stronger, and picks up where he left off when he gets back from the injury. But this definitely has a pretty, pretty significant and pretty big chances of his MVP have taken a hit due to this injury.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think Joel Embiid's always been, one of the best big men in the league, if not the best big man in the league, at his position, given his skill set and the things that we've seen him be able to do. I think the biggest knock on him was, by the third quarter, this dude would be dead tired and, would be dragging his body up and down the court. I think this is more of, a judgment call on somebody like a Mike Brown. It's like, what were you doing over there, all this time? You know what I'm saying? Because now Doc Rivers is over there, and we're seeing the differences in Joel Embiid. He looks like a guy that's motivated. He looks like a guy that's about the team. You'll see during the season, Joel Embiid does a lot of things that's like a detriment to his team, whether it's like getting texts or, starting stuff with the other teams and stuff like that. Now you don't see stuff like that. You know what I mean? He's in the game. He looks like he's enjoying himself. For instance, the whole thing with Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell,
Donovan Mitchell, where he's joking with Donovan Mitchell on the court as he's getting teed out. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, get out of here, buddy. It just looks like the game's a little more fun for him. He looks like he likes his role. I think he appreciates it, and they're playing from inside out. They're playing through him as opposed to making him post up on a three and taking threes, throughout the game, which is what a Mike Brown was trying to have do with somebody like Al Horford coming in. It's like, you have Joel Embiid. You don't need, somebody else to replace him on the post and send him out to the three-point line. That doesn't make any sense. So I think it's more of a, a good job on Doc Rivers, for coming in there and motivating that guy to take his game to the next level. Because maybe he's been mentioned in the MVP race before, but I don't think he's ever been a favorite for the MVP race until this year.
No, he
So,
hasn't.
you know,
The first year,
I think
he's really
everybody's
been a
always
MVP
said,
candidate.
everybody's always said, like, he could be an MVP of the league, but except, you know, stamina, except, you know what I'm saying, like the playoff losses and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And, you know, sometimes people forget, like, this guy was one lucky shot away from getting into the championships against the Raptors, right? With Kawhi Leonard's shot at the end there, you know, it was one shot away from going into the chip. You
Well,
know,
they were gonna go to the Eastern Conference Finals and play
right.
Milwaukee. That was the semifinals.
And I don't trust Milwaukee to do anything. So
Right. So they could have very well beaten the
because
Milwaukee Bucks
Toronto went
that
in there
series.
and did what they did, you know.
Right, but remember, Milwaukee had a 2-0 lead and won the first two games pretty convincingly before the Raptors won the next 4 and 1 and 6.
They still figured it out. You know what I'm saying? You're
No,
supposed to put a team
did.
away like that, is what I'm
No,
saying. You know what I
absolutely,
mean?
especially when you go 2-0 and and win the first two games, pretty convincingly and dominate each of those games. They definitely gotta be able to find a way to win that series. So, no, I
Yeah, for
certainly
sure.
agree with that, John. And I think just the last point about Joel Embiid, what I've noticed about him is he's more in shape now, and like his motor and his energy has significantly improved. And I think that's a testament to Doc Rivers, and making sure that this guy is engaged and locked in, and that he's playing the full, you know what I'm saying, not the full 40 minutes, but when he's out there, he's playing hard and playing with that consistent energy and intensity throughout the game.
Yeah, man, for sure. So look, man, I hope he comes back sooner than later, especially for his team. He's having a great season. So, they've been leading the East for a while too. You know what I'm saying? So it would suck for them to lose momentum because of this injury when he's been having a great season. And, you want the players to stay as healthy as possible. But another big man that's dealing with injuries is Anthony Davis, who's going to be missing a couple more weeks. And, that's not good news for them, because obviously we've seen what the impact on, Anthony Davis is when he's not in the games. The Lakers have to compensate and do a lot of other things. Now we're talking about, rumors with Andre Drummond possibly coming in if he gets a buyout and stuff like that. So, we'll see what happens with them. But their chances, you know what I'm saying, without him doesn't seem to be that great because, they went on a losing streak. They've salvaged some comeback wins, but it hasn't looked pretty for them. Spurs and LaMarcus Aldridge, another big man, have agreed to part ways. Do you guys want Aldridge on the Celtics?
Yes.
Nah, I don't think. I don't want to see him here with the Celtics. I disagree with that.
So right now he's averaging like 14 points, like 7 rebounds. You know what I mean? I don't know. He's an interesting player. He's been mentioned to, have connections with the Celtics before, but I don't know if he comes in here and moves a needle much. I think he'll do better. I think he'll do better.
I like Aldridge. I like his size. I think
I've always liked him,
and I think if he can give us 15 points, 8 rebounds a game, I'll take him over
Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, I'll take him over Tristan Thompson.
I mean, if you look at it that way, I'm not mad at it. But our rebounding is going to suffer. It's going to suffer a little bit.
Yeah, because he's not that good of a rebounder or really that
good on defense.
Defensive player either. They're right. That's probably why I'd say no. He's just pretty much a jump shooter.
Right about now, mid-range
killer.
We
need that extra shooting though. Like we're looking for.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I just don't think he moves like our needle much to like do anything extra. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think like he helps, but like not much. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
Not going to make a big impact. That's going to actually help us really contend in
right.
the East with the top teams, you know, in the conference.
While the Spurs want to, you know, do the right thing and set him in the right situation, they still want some kind of compensation for him. So I don't know if we want to trade anything for LaMarcus Aldridge.
I don't think
Another
they're going to get anything for him, though.
right,
They're better off buying him out.
right.
Kind of like what what they did with Blake Griffin, the Pistons. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not really a LaMarcus Aldridge guy as right now. I don't think he'll help
Another
us.
veteran that wants to be out and on his way, you know, not surprisingly, is PJ Tucker from the Houston. He's decided to sit out games until he gets traded to a contender, you know. So these guys are ring chasing. He's been in the league for a little while now, and he wants to do his thing. Victor
But
Oladipo.
I think it says more about the Rockets, the situation the Rockets are in right now. You know, I mean, just nobody wants to be over there right now.
Right. You know, just like Victor Oladipo, he declined a 3-year contract offer from them, and he's expecting to get traded. You know what I'm saying? So right now it's a burning ship. You know, I mean, no, a sinking ship.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
everybody, you know, is jumping out of there, man. And you can't blame them because I think they went on like a 13-game losing streak so far this season.
Yeah, they're still on that losing streak currently. Oh, yeah.
So it's got to be like 15, 17 by now.
Yeah, I think it's around like 14 or 15. I mean, they play the Celtics tonight on Sunday. So
we better not lose, man.
They lose to them, right? But yeah, I don't think they've won any games and are still on that losing streak. And that's actually a guy that I'd like to see here if if he does decide to come here as PJ Tucker. I think he can definitely help this team and contribute and and give them what they need, which is shooting and defensive versatility and toughness as well, and that veteran savviness. So I like PJ Tucker and hope that he goes to a contender or even comes here.
We'll see what happens, man. Does he help us much, PJ Tucker?
No, I think he helps. I like PJ Tucker. Like I said, he can defend multiple positions. He's one of the best corner three shooters in the
game.
league.
Yeah.
Very effective. Hitting the threes, particularly spotting up in the corner. And certainly, he's always been a guy that plays really hard, extremely hard, bigger than his.
I like his
size.
defense. I like his defense. I like his tenacity.
He also crashes the boards too, as
for
well.
A shorter guy.
Right. So no, I think definitely, he can help us with, since he's able to do multiple things well, and and definitely bring them to the table.
Right.
And I like his energy too. I think his energy is kind of like Marcus Smart's energy in a sense.
I wish every veteran that was on a buyout or decided to leave their team would come to the Celtics, but unfortunately that's not the case. So, we'll see what happened, and we'll let you guys know what happens with those free agents or, the guys that are going out on the buyout market. So, we'll update you, like I said. But let's get into some Celtics. The Celtics came back, and they played their first game against the Nets. They fell short, 121 to 110. I believe 109.
109, 121, 109.
Jason Tatum scored 31 points. And, our former point guard, the guy we love talking about on this show, Kyrie Irving, dropped 40 points. I believe that was the first time they had some fans in the building as well.
That's right.
It was an exciting night for them. Kyrie Irving put on a show. And, since then we've seen a bunch of tweets from athletes and from, analysts and stuff like that. We've seen a bunch of questions like always, you know what I'm saying? Whenever Kyrie does something, there's always questions out there. One of them is Damian Lillard says that he has, you know, the most beautiful game in the history of basketball, which is like, that's kind of crazy because Magic Johnson played, you know what I'm saying? Like some of the stuff that guy was doing is like ridiculous to me. And then, you know, another thing that we've seen or that keeps coming up is Kyrie Irving better than Allen Iverson. And I don't know. I've been thinking about that a little bit. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen this debate. Where are you guys on that spectrum?
I said no, he's not. I think Kyrie is a great point guard and he has unbelievable skills. But I think Allen Iverson created what Kyrie is today. He's really the one that came into the league with that amount of skills and that amount of handle and just the finishing ability at the rim was unbelievable from him, and him being shorter than Kyrie just proves how much better he was already, and how much more he had to do to be better. You know what I mean? So I think people are gonna talk about championship eventually, but I don't think Allen Iverson never had a LeBron. And if Kyrie ends up winning with the Nets, Allen Iverson never had a KD. So you know what I mean? So I don't think that's gonna hold weight.
Yeah, you know, I think in some aspects of his game, you could say, you know, Kyrie's better than AI, but you know, as an overall player, I'd still, you know, side with with Allen Iverson, you know, over Kyrie over in Irving. You know, overall, I think, you know, definitely, you know, aspects like you said, finishing at the basket and you know, and also the handle as well. No one's really had better handle than him, and then also being able to, you know, the shots that he makes, making them with, you know, both hands and at multiple angles. You know, I haven't seen anyone that can do that as well as him. But I think, you know, no one can really, I think, as of right now, say that he's better than, you know, Allen Iverson, just because, I mean, Allen Iverson was a dog, man. Like that guy was like a warrior in the heart of a lion. Like no one took, you know what I'm saying, that physical beating that he took every night and still continued to, you know, get back up and continue to play the game at in an extremely high level that he did, and just, you know, the clutch ability. No, Kyrie's clutch, but think just, you know, his shot making. You know, Kyrie's a really good shooter. I think, you know, II's definitely had ice water in his veins and always came up, you know, big in those situations, you know, and delivered when he was, you know, when he had this team, and he did more with less. Like we said, you know, he hasn't played with the talent that Kyrie has. So I think that, you know, the fact that he even took that team to the finals and beat the Lakers single-handedly by himself, you know, goes to show his level of greatness and, you know, how great of a player he was, because I don't think anyone else could have taken that team that he had to the finals and even win a game against that Lakers, against Shaq and Kobe, both in their prime. I think with that being said, I still would say, you know, Allen Iverson's the, you know, better player, but, you know, Kyrie's certainly getting closer, you know, to him as, you know, time goes. So we'll see how the rest of Kyrie Irving's career ends up going for him.
I think those guys are very similar in some ways, for sure. You know, I think definitely Kyrie has the best handles all time in this game as far as like manipulation of the ball and things like that. But, you know, you've never seen anybody, you know, break more ankles than Allen Iverson. You know what I'm saying? Even with Kyrie Irving's packages, you've never seen people do the things that Allen Iverson was making people do. You know what I mean? I think they're similar in their off-field issues. You know, Allen Iverson is talking about practice. You know, Kyrie Irving's talking about I'm taking 3 weeks off from the team type of stuff. You know what I mean? You know, they're trendsetters in their own right. So they're similar in that way. But like Barry was saying, you know, taking that team to the championship, you really can't name, you know, many players that played with Allen Iverson. You know what I'm saying? But you can name a lot of players that Kyrie Irving has played with, you know, as opposed to Allen Iverson. Because right now I'm trying to think in my head, like, can I name one of the players that went to the finals with him? You know, I don't remember it that much. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I can name a few, but I get
who you got on there?
So Eric Snow.
See, I forgot that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Eric Snow is a good player, but he wasn't like, you know, breaking up bank or anything like that. You know what I mean?
KD.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't, like, where is he on the all-time list of greats? Like, Eric Snow's nowhere to be found.
Right. No, I hear what you're saying.
Was Dikembe Mutombo?
Mutombo was there. Yep, Dikembe Mutombo was on that team.
Right, but was that in his prime?
Player, but that's toward the end of his career.
Was that in his prime or at the end?
No, he was older.
Okay,
but he
there
was
we
still
go.
a good defensive playing shot blocker.
Right, and I mean, to this point, that's probably the most famous player Allen Iverson's actually played with. Right, is a Mutombo.
Well, when AI was in his prime, he ended up playing with Carmelo Anthony. But we're talking about prime AI, I'd probably say, yeah, that's the most famous guy. I think he, played with Larry Hughes.
But look at Carmelo Anthony. Hasn't won anything his whole career. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to knock Carmelo Anthony down or anything like that. But, you know, there's not many that notable players that Allen Iverson has played with, and he's made his name. You know what I'm saying? And the guy, he still looks younger than us. You know, so more power to him, man. And
crazy,
I don't know, I think we are prisoners of now, right? Like, what's happening right now is what we think is like the best, you know, for a lot of people anyway. But, you know, I just don't think Kyrie Irving is there. Maybe if he wins a couple more chips, you know, but Allen Iverson's one of the greatest point guards of all time, and he'll continue to be. But that night he dropped 40 on us, man. And, you know, we were competitive for a little while. And then these guys took over down the stretch. What'd you guys think about that game?
Yeah, I thought, the Celtics were competitive for most of the game. But I feel as though once the second half started, you saw a different nets. And I feel as though they were more in control of the game. Kyrie was doing Kyrie things. And I don't know, the Celtics played hard. They definitely played hard. I enjoyed having Marcus Smart back. I thought Jaylen Brown had one of his worst game of the season.
Right. I saw something that said, what's wrong with Jaylen Brown? Like, you guys notice anything?
I think it's his knee, man. I mean, I know he had the All-Star break, but he played in the All-Star game, which I kind of wish he didn't, but I understand why he did. It was his first time.
His first time.
It was his hometown and all that. But I kind of wish he took it off because his knee is going to be an issue going forward for the rest of his career, I think. So I think he needs to find ways to take care of that. So I think his knee is definitely bothering him. He just didn't look good that game. It was good to have Marcus Smart back. You know, he had some Marcus Smart moments in that game, but it was his first game back, so I didn't expect much from him. Jason Tatum's been really impressive to me. I think he's been more decisive on his reads and his
decision making. Right.
I think he's taking less threes than non-open threes than he has in the past. I think he's going to the rim a lot more, which I like. But this team needs to come together and put a full game together. You know, they had some good splashes toward that game, but it wasn't consistent enough to win that game. But it was also against the Nets, who's a scoring machine. I didn't think it was gonna be a blowout, and I don't think it was a blowout. It was just when it matters,
the closers did their job.
Yeah, when it matters, the Nets took over the game and did whatever they needed to do.
Yeah, I thought, the Celtics played fairly well and were competitive in parts of the game, but also I thought they were what they've been, which is, inconsistent. I thought they were up and down in that game, and they clearly didn't play well enough and weren't good enough to win that game. I thought, the Nets, played better, in the second half and down the stretch, particularly in the fourth quarter, and I thought that, they definitely, were the better team and made more plays than us, than the Celtics did. I thought, James Harden was really good. I thought he not only was able to, be efficient, with his shots, but also he was able to, create for others as well, and and make plays and facilitate out there. So him running the point, I think he certainly, controlled the game and did what he does. So, and then obviously Kyrie, Irving just simply took over, particularly in that fourth quarter. They had no answer for him once he got going in rhythm. I think, they tried to, come back and make it a game, but, it just, by that time, it was too late, and the Nets were already, we were playing at too high of a level for the Celtics to be able to, to beat them. I thought that, unfortunately, Jaylen Brown's not being able to play well, hurt us. We needed another scorer that could, really score, to keep up with, the Nets scoring. Because I thought, Kimber was decent. JT, played really well and, did what he does. So I think, not having that other scoring presence, cost us in this game. I don't think Biggs did too well in this game. I think that it was a tough game for them. So I think we've just seen the gap really between the Nets and the Celtics, and that unfortunately we're not close to the way the Nets are, even with Nets with the team that's not fully healthy, and the Nets with no KD and no Blake Griffin there yet. We're still not as good of a team to be able to to beat those guys. So we'll see what I'm saying, how the rest of the season goes and what the team does to improve internally, as well as who they bring in, but they certainly need to improve a lot in order to get to where the Nets are, because they're not really close by any means as of right now.
Yeah, I'd agree, man. I think it's crazy how fast the Nets have built that chemistry. Some of the stuff that you see that James Harden is doing with the other players, as far as like assisting them and getting a give and go. And you saw that play with him and DeAndre Jordan the other day. It's like, man, and
I know it's scary.
Like, dude, you know what I'm saying? And
yeah, that was crazy. I saw that.
You mentioned that they don't even have KD and Blake Griffin. They don't even have Spencer Dinwiddie out there, and that guy would be dropping 50. You know what I'm saying?
It's another that could get buckets, exactly.
They've built like an offensive juggernaut, you know what I'm saying? And it looks like, their defense is not going to be that much of a hindrance to them, winning games, because when they're scoring at that kind of a clip and they're figuring things out, and Kyrie Irving has all this time to do basically whatever, because you can't leave James Harden open ever, and he's gonna kill you too, because he utilizes everybody on his team. He's always had, I think James Harden is playing some of the best ball he's ever played.
That's
right?
crazy.
Like he's
you
playing,
go from one team in the middle of the season and now
listen,
you're playing your great ball.
Even though he's not dropping 44, 50 points a night, like he's still playing the best ball. Exactly. He doesn't have to. And I think a lot of people.
He had 32 that game, so he still had a pretty good game.
Right. And a lot of people, the main thing they would say is like, can James Harden do what he needs to do to like fit in with the team? And it's like, dude, I'm a team player. And, he's played on a team with a lot of firepower before. He just went.
They have the best scorer I've ever seen in the NBA. And he wasn't even playing.
He's not even playing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like,
that's true. That's the scary part.
That's an exciting team to watch for sure.
It's definitely an exciting team to watch, to see how fast it's come together. These guys, they're handling business, man. They're doing what they're supposed to do. But we'll see what happens in the playoffs, because we know how these games go in the playoffs. But even in the playoffs, they shouldn't have too much of an issue with anybody, just because their starting four is like they can be starters anywhere else. They could be number one on any other team.
I do think they need to play better defense. That's
for sure.
Particularly in the playoffs, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have a couple of games where you're not scoring as well as you usually do.
Right.
But
the intensity goes up.
But at the end of the day, 7-game series, it's hard to not score as well as you can for four games in a 7-game series.
That's true, man. I mean, we'll see. We can gush about the Nets all day, but we got a big NFL segment, man. So,
sure.
we'll update you guys on what the team is doing. As of right now, the Celtics play the Jazz on Tuesday, the 16th, and we expect that to be, a dogfight like the last game was. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully they can get a W for that game.